This is going to be a little bit longer video than usual, only because we have to keep it relatively generic, because obviously I haven't assessed you in person. But that's also okay, because these things tend to respond to more generic things anyways. So what I think is going on is a mechanical sensitivity. So I'm going to use my notes. So basically what a mechanical sensitivity is a muscle in your nervous system has been like, whoa, we think we are, heavy air quotes, injured somewhere. Nervous system's a smoke alarm, smoke detector in your house, right? The pain is there, the smoke detector is there to detect this big old fire or this big old injury. 9 times out of 10, when does it actually go off? When you're cooking, you blow a candle out, something totally innocuous, right? And that's what our nervous system is there for, unfortunately. Just like the smoke detector, our nervous system's like, whoa, pain, when there's nothing going on, there's no injury. So, with that being said, mechanical sensitivity is just positions or mechanics, movements that your body's like, whoa, hold on, sir. And basically, the goal to treat this is incrementally expose your body to those positions and mechanics and be like, hey, nervous system, shut up. I'm in control. Look, I'm safe here. No big deal. The thing is, when it comes to mechanical sensitivities, the muscle/nervous system is, generally speaking, hypersensitive, air quotes, to one of two things. Rarely both, but it could be both. Usually it's one or the other. Volume or intensity. So what I would recommend is first pull back on the intensity and see if things improve from there, right? Maintain your volume. If there's wiggle room, you might be able to push your volume, but let's cap all your pain at a 5 out of 10. 4 out of 10, good to go, keep going through. So you get to that 5 range, kind of shut it down right there. Take a minute and breathe, try it again. Reason being is we don't want to make our nervous system freak out more, right? So you kind of want to explore, is it the volume or is it the intensity that's really getting you? If it is both, then hit me up again, we'll talk about it and we'll go from there. The only thing is when you're in prep, you can't really pull back on either. It's just kind of the nature of prep and being strongman. I'm sure it's even worse than powerlifting since we do 3 things. With that being said, if it gets to the point where you're like, I can barely go through prep, again, let me know, hit me up, and we'll address some very specific band-aids. We'll put together a protocol specific to you, and then we can address it formally after the meet. With that said, okay, I just want to give you a couple of reminders before we go through the actual rehab thingies. First and foremost, we're always taught to lock your scaps in or pressing, right? Bowling sometimes too. No, let your scaps be. I like to say, set them and forget them. So if you're gonna overhead press, right, you're kind of gonna shrug your shoulder, your scaps up a little up and back, gonna posterior tilt as best you can, set them, and then forget them. Let the scap move. Let the whole thing move. Don't lock it in and then try to press. Because when we lock it in, what we're doing is we're not letting the scap do his job. Well, no matter what, we're getting from point A to point B. Our body's really good at figuring out how to do that. And it's gonna increase demands on certain tissues. And that's when we start hypersensitizing things, trying to get muscles, such as the supraspinatus, to do his job a little too much, really relying on him to do something that he doesn't really need to do. We have the scapula to move with the shoulder. Super duper important. So set them and forget them, it's a big one. And the last thing, when it comes to warm-ups, mechanical sensitivities are a weird kind of, I don't want to call them injury, but like condition, right? When it comes to warm-ups, what's the whole idea? Well, the warm-ups get you warm, expose you to those positions and those skills, and neurological drive. Those are the 3 biggies. But what people often forget is, well, neurological drive, what causes pain? It's the nervous system, right? Pain is in the brain. Without the brain, there's no pain. So we're gonna come up with some warm-ups where we're just gonna expose that muscle, get a sick little pump in him, be like, yo, look at this. They're gonna look stupid. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you ahead of time. They're gonna look silly. But you're gonna be like, okay, oh, wow, yep, muscle's good, getting a burn. Oh, ooh, that's a good burn. I'm teaching my nervous system and my muscle, this is fine, I'm good, man. Oh, look at that. No pain, I can do everything, no big deal. There's a brutal pump, but that's fine. So that's gonna be just kind of the way that you wanna tackle these with a Band-Aid. The warm-ups are a Band-Aid, but they're a fantastic Band-Aid. So let's move on to the rehab. Break these down from simplest to more complex. And this first one is going to be the supraspinatus PIR, post isometric relaxation. Basically, you're gonna put it in its longest position, you're gonna resist it, and you're gonna let the hand win. You're not gonna let the muscle win. You're gonna push against it into abduction and behind you. So, what it looks like is this. You're gonna push in, grab, count to 10, resist really hard. Like we're talking 50% of what you got, and then you're going to relax. Take this hand, pull it into its longer position, 10 seconds. Push again, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. And you're gonna do this 2-3 rounds, and then you're gonna slowly bring it through the ranges of motion that bothers you. Hopefully that reduces the pain, at least temporarily, so then you can actually start warming up and get to where you need to be. The only thing is, you're not gonna have that reduction in neurodrive like from static stretching, because this is active stretching. The difference is, active stretching is actually just really, really light weight training. It's an isometric contraction. It's muscles contracting. Okay, with that being said, also you wanna hunt around because like sometimes you can't really feel it. It's gonna take a minute to find it. Once you find it, that will be like the position for you. Okay. Banded warm-ups. I love these. Not for everybody, just when this stupid little mechanical sensitivity acts up. So what I just started doing, just get rid of this, is just grab a band. Lighter is probably better. And we're really only gonna be going from here to here, like 45-ish degrees. So lock it down somewhere back here, put a little bit of tension down here, we're gonna, that's all it is. And this is the time we're actually gonna lock your scap in just a little bit. Because again, when we're pressing, we don't lock the scap down. But for this, because we're just trying to isolate that one guy, that's all it is. And you wanna increase your range of motion as you go. And the idea is to get a sick pump in that muscle. Again, lighter bands are probably better, but you're gonna have to kind of play around. You will find it, and you will know it. So this next one is just regular old sideline abductions, right? So we're gonna be laying down, and we're going to have the dumbbell in our hand, and first we're just gonna do an isometric. So you're just going to lift it a little, hold, 10, 20, 30 seconds, whatever you can handle, down, relax for the same amount of time. Back up, maybe a little higher if you can handle it, and back down. If these are too easy and it's no big deal, that's awesome. The next step is reps, right? So this is where you're not locking the scap in. You're gonna let everything move all together. You're gonna build the tension and down. But you're gonna hold the tension here. You're not actually gonna drop it down. You're gonna create a little space, keep some space. Up, slowly down. And if you're like, ooh, this is fine, you can even go behind you for a little more range of motion. And up, slowly down. The important part is, once you're done, slowly rest it. Because if you drop it, the mechanical sensitivity is gonna grab and it's gonna hurt. Alternatively, some people don't feel it quite where they need to, and so you can kind of go into a little external rotation with it, maybe a little internal rotation, but usually the ER is kind of the key. I would recommend doing the isometrics for 3 to 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps. But again, that shouldn't be too hard considering how strong you are. So the reps are really sweet. Again, we're going for a sick, gnarly pump. You're gonna kind of figure out a lot of this is about getting that nasty pump. There's a gating principle, basically mechanoreceptors, what you're doing, putting your information, you controlling your nervous system, putting that kind of info into the system is like so much faster than your pain is, like literally to the nervous, like in the different types of neurons. It's a whole physiological lesson that we don't have to go through, but just remember, mechanics, faster than pain. That's why we're trying to get that brutal pump. Okay, cable-wise. Something that we forget to do a lot, especially when we're overhead pressing, is to actually get the scap to posteriorly tilt. You see how I have maxed out my actual just plain shoulder mobility, right? So if I lock my scap down, I can't get my shoulder behind me. But if I loosen up my scap and let the scap move, you're gonna see it, this line right here, scoop up and forward. This is scapular, posterior tilt. That right there. That's what a lot of us are missing. We need the capacity, so when we overhead press, we're not just stuck here and putting a lot of extra pressure onto the rotator cuffs, where we can just bam, a little bit more, get the scap, serratus, traps, all of them, the periscapular muscles to do their job, so that the shoulder joints don't actually, the shoulder muscles don't have to take over themselves and do too much. We want everything to work together. So, cable-wise, grab a large loop. The rope doesn't really, it's not wide enough in terms of like how wide you can pull it. You can always use a band if needed, but if you have like a long rope with the loop with the hands parts, best. All you're gonna do is basically make a Y, so it's kind of a pulling apart and reaching above and behind you. The most important part is the high and behind. So you don't even have to go all the way down. You can even start from here. More range of motion is better, but that's neither here nor there. It's mostly about the bam. So keep it high and behind you. Really try to get that scap going. Again, high reps. I want you to feel it here, and you're eventually gonna feel it here too, and that's okay. 15 to 30 is a good starting place, but again, big focus for these is that capacity to posteriorly tilt. You'll know you're doing it right if you don't have a mirror. If you put your hands on your serratus. Serratus is slack, very contracted. Alrighty, so a fantastic accessory that I like to put with a lot of my overhead pressing patients and clients, I guess used to be clients, is regular old cable abductions, right? So again, we're not locking the scap down, have the cable kind of low, and we're going to raise it up as high as we can and almost externally rotate at the top. So it's kind of like a cable Y, but there's more of an abduction element. If it hurts too much to do the full range of motion, just start like what we did in the warm-up. Bam, bam, bam. You're gonna get a dope pump. It's gonna be brutal, I promise. And as you are able to get around that pain, increasing the range of motion as much as you can. For these though, unlike the warm-ups, you're not locking the scap in. Let the trap do his job, man. Like if I just lock my shoulder in and let the scap move, look at that. It's basically abducting because the scap and the shoulder work together. Again, it's gonna train that posterior tilt a little bit, but it's really gonna get him to be a lot stronger and a lot, we'll call it more brave. Like, I got this, no pain, whatever, no big deal. Again, what is our rule for pain? Capping it at a 5. 4 and below, all good. 5+, shut down, take a break, try it again. If after that second time it's a no-go, shut down for the day, no big deal. It does not mean that you're regressing. It just means you're doing a little too much for that day. Your body has to adapt. Alrighty, last but not least, this is one of my favorites. I'm sure Rochelle will see this and be like, I've seen that nonsense before. Overhead pressing with over pressing. For a unilateral injury, mechanical sensitivity, I do prefer a unilateral dumbbell press, right, as opposed to a barbell. So it's all the same things. You're literally gonna press it in the scapular plane, so like 45 degrees this way, but you're going to overpress. What does that mean? High and behind. So putting that together, bam. Now, if it hurts to fully press, then just get it up there however you can and just do the overpresses. The bam, 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 isometrically hold 2, 3, 10 seconds, whatever you think. Keep it standardized. Bam, bam. Bring it back down nice and slow. Switch sides. So for these, I would actually recommend starting no higher than 15 reps. Make the first ones easy. Just feel the mechanics. That's all. Working your way down, I love these accessory-wise for people. Building your way to 7 to 9 reps, maybe an RPE 7-ish. It's a challenge, but it's not brutally difficult. These are kind of the ladder exercises, and it's actually become a staple in my training for these exact reasons, and it's saved so much pain and anguish for me. If you have any questions on any of these, let me know, okay?